All right, people, this is a last minute one, but this is a momentous one. I've been waiting to have this guy on for a long time. How long have I been trying to get you on now? About a year and a half now? I kind of lost track.
Almost going on 2 years now, yeah.
Almost 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we finally got it. I guest appeared on his podcast last semester, and now we have the debut of the one, the only Mr. Dontre Tarantino, Leonardo DiBlacchio, James. Dontre is here to help me break down the announcement of James Gunn's first phase of DC movies that is set to start airing sometime within the next couple of years, entitled Gods and Monsters. Dontre, before we get started, you got any thoughts before we tackle this ridiculousness that was announced?
First of all, I guess like his saga is going to be Gods and Monsters, but I don't know how I feel about that already. Like, just I really don't know like where he's going to go with this, and it's not like obviously we didn't know that the Avengers movie was going to lead to the Chitauri and like Loki going into Thanos, but like Gods and Monsters just doesn't sound right, especially with this lineup. It really doesn't seem right.
We're going to talk about this lineup because this lineup is, I think interesting is the most fair word that I could use without getting like too depraving. We'll save that for once the slate, for once we actually get started. But this is a bonus episode of the Talking TV podcast. All right, Dontre, first of all, just the fact I finally got you on the podcast, man. It's been a minute. It has indeed been a minute that I've been trying to get you on, but like, just let the Talking TV audience know that let them know who you are. Let them know, like, just kind of a little bit of our backstory. Let them know the enigma that is Dontre James, aka Tarantino, aka Leonardo DiBlacchio.
I mean, shit. Like, what do people know? Because I'm assuming most of the people who like listen to this like already know. Like, yeah, we're in the same fraternity. We both went to SUNY Oswego. We lived together for about 2 years. Even when we lived together, I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing the podcast."
It took us moving out of the same house for you to be like, "Okay, fine, we'll start podcasting together."
Okay, yeah, no, honestly, I just had like nothing else to do today, and then like just with work, just kind of just being slow. I really had nothing planned all day today at all, so I was like, "All right." And then also, I'm trying to get like ready for the football podcast.
Oh yeah, you got lots to prepare. You got lots of Bill slander ready to get out of the way, even though they've already lost and are already out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're already gone. So it's just like, again, it's like now I just have to, which I wanted to save after the AFC and NFC championships games were over. So yeah, Super Bowl Sunday. Still don't have a date yet that I'm going to do. I know it's going to be sometime this weekend or whatever, but
yeah, that sounds like the best one, especially considering that like. I feel like a lot of people, it's like, well, there was an alternative universe in which the Super Bowl lineup that everybody was expecting happened. That one where it was 49ers versus Bengals. And then it's just, we're in the complete inverse one where it's Eagles versus Chiefs. And everyone is like, how the hell did that happen? But save that one for the football podcast once that happens. But so, Dontre, I think that to say that it's been a rough last 10 years for DC fans is the understatement of the year, because just between the constant back and forth, oh, this slate is happening. Oh no, now this slate is happening. Oh no, like first with Snyder, and then how that gets scrapped, and then you have everything that's happened under Walter Hamada's reign, which has ranged from questionably good to just straight up bad to just confusing. Some of the movies that really started under his reign being Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman 1984, Birds of Prey, James Gunn's first outing with The Suicide Squad, Elseworlds movies like Joker and The Batman, and just recently kind of sort of concluded with Black Adam. We still have some more movies from under that reign that are coming out next year, but naturally DC fans have been up in arms over the last couple of years, considering that for the longest time DC has been like saying, oh, they're ripping off Marvel as far as like their slate, their formula, all that stuff. Marvel's just been so successful and just such this unstoppable juggernaut for the last 10 years that it always felt like DC was trying to play catch up, and it showed kind of rather embarrassingly so in some of their earlier films. I still remember when like we had like an almost entirely different version of David Ayer's Suicide Squad that we got as the final film version, as opposed to like what that movie was supposed to be. Like the fact that like so butchered that it's a bit rough, to say the least. I think is the overall consensus that we can come to. But a couple months ago, it was announced that with the new with AT&T selling off Time Warner to Discovery Plus, and then merging that with HBO Max. The new CEO, David Zaslav, announced that James Gunn and Peter Safran would be running DC Studios from now on. So naturally, fans were all up in the air. They had all these different questions. They were like, oh man, what's going to happen? Well, naturally, the first question was, oh man, they just announced that Cavill's back in Black Adam, not even a month ago. And unfortunately, well, Cavill was out again. And that kind of ended up being like a really crazy bit of marketing that kind of that The Rock was doing that kind of backfired in their faces. I'm still, I feel like we would need to know like the timing on that as far as how that went down versus like, when certain things started to be announced versus when things actually happened. Because that's always a bit confusing, but so fans were eagerly anticipating because Gunn had stated back in the fall that him and Safran had been working tirelessly as far as like developing what movies they wanted to be in their first official slate. They said they had a 10-year plan. They said that they wanted to move in a completely different direction than what had happened before. They said they were trying to like reboot things and make them feel fresh and original. And their slate was announced today. And I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused to say the least. But before we get into the slate, I just wanted to know like, obviously you're a much bigger comic book fan than I am. You've actually like, unlike myself, who's only really primarily watched the movies, you have like read almost all the comic books that this stuff is based on. So just walk me through your thoughts a little bit on like, for lack of a better word, the last 10 years of DC and like how frustrating it's been as a viewer.
So, the last 10 years has just been utterly terrible. And still to this day, and I'm going to say this right now, like Man of Steel is still the best Superman movie in the last 10 years.
Well, I don't think there's any disputing that. I think pretty much everyone is universally agreeing on that.
There's a lot of people that would sit here and just be like, oh, Man of Steel was garbage. They want to see the man in tights saving cats and shit. And that's not how that works, bro, at all. No, I think that movie was totally fine. I think Zack Snyder was going in a great route with his universe. And obviously, shit happens and that we got what we got. But honestly, like DC's been hurting and, people forget about the Watchmen movie.
Yeah, they do, which is fantastic.
We got the Watchmen TV series on HBO Max, and then after the first season, that got axed. Wide range of shows, especially with HBO Max now learning that Titans is done after season 4, and it's kind of wild that it's done because right now the show is on like a huge hiatus. Like I guess they're mid-season, which I didn't even realize they were doing like a mid-season because I was still looking for the episodes. But honestly, I would say this though. The DC's been suffering on the live action spectrum, but however, what people don't really realize is that DC went and created their own Marvel formula with the animated movies, ending with Justice League Apocalypse War, which was
the Apocalypse War, the one that dropped,
which was the greatest end all. Like that was like that
was awesome. I'm like, fuck Endgame. Like this shit is where it's at.
Yeah, like fuck Endgame and Infinity War. It was all in one movie too. We didn't have to wait for another movie to come out. But yeah, like that whole, and then just that starting with like Flashpoint and stuff like that, and moving forward was like the animated series, like they've been going ham with, and but like again, like not everyone's gonna want to sit down and watch an anime movie, or these animated movies don't really get released in like movie theaters anymore. So it's like, if you don't got one of these streaming services, you're not seeing these things.
Yeah, because pretty much all those animated movies were going direct to streaming, and it kind of almost been like established as like this niche. Like that I guess that was the confusing thing, is that like is that the mainstream DC stuff was always suffering, but other niche stuff, like, wow, they really they had that shit unlocked, all the CW series and how those were intersected before those kind of had their inevitable drop off, all the animated stuff. But like DC, like the idea that like DC doesn't seem to understand how to do a cohesive cinematic universe, that clearly has been proven to not be the case. It's just a matter of the people who know how to run a successful cohesive cinematic universe were clearly not the people that were in charge of the live action front. I think it's been pretty much established that Zack Snyder had this original creative vision that was entirely his, that was set to comprise of, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and then 3 Justice League movies, and then DC, and then everything that happened there. And then after he left the studio, DC tried to do this quasi weird reboot / continuation of all the people that he had cast and such. And some of them were successful, some of them really not. And the biggest, I feel like, source of confusion for a lot of people watching is like, where the hell is there even continuity? Like, this shit is somehow even more jarring and more confused than the X-Men movies. And we all know the continuity that was there. I'm putting that in air quotes with those movies. Just non-existent. Like you got like Amanda Waller popping up and some things. You're like, wait, is this in universe? Is this not in universe? You got other crossovers. Like none of this shit makes sense.
Is that Suicide Squad canon? Is it in the same universe? Like blah blah blah. Now, if they would have came out and did like Elseworlds or like all the other stuff before, and then you had all these things, it'd have been like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You
Right.
know, like even with like, I'm pretty sure we'll talk about this before, but like they're saying that like Batman 2, like Robert
Right.
Pattinson's Batman, that's gonna be. I'm pretty sure they're gonna line that movie up with being the Elseworlds timeline.
Yeah, they have confirmed that Batman 2, the Joker sequel, if they do any more animated Teen Titans stuff, all that stuff is Elseworlds. That's nothing to do with the main DC universe. And
Yeah,
I like that they're establishing that like out of the gates as opposed to like
that's
trying to
good.
pull like this is gonna tie in somehow like with a multiverse thing. I'm
We're
glad that they're
6
like,
movies
no,
deep, and
yeah,
we're like, oh, this is Elseworlds, by the way.
yeah. And we're
No,
like, what?
you know what I'm saying? Like, no. So yeah, I really do like that they're doing that. Because again, like, well, I'll say this: my main problem, especially with this slate coming out now, is that we're tired of reboots. Batman, Brave and the Bold is another reboot. Superman Legacy, another reboot, and I can kind of tell because we've had this conversation while we were on our couch, and it was high, but it was like it makes a lot of sense about how I pretty much know who's going to be that first villain for that Superman movie, and it's going to be Brainiac,
Yeah, absolutely. Like
100%.
no question, absolutely no question about that. Oh,
And then
and real quick on the Elseworlds thing. Also, they're also apparently still Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Superman movie is also apparently still going through as well, even though they haven't talked about that one as well. Oh, you didn't hear about this? Oh, you didn't hear?
the one that's
Oh,
supposed to be like Michael B. Jordan, supposed to be.
I don't remember. I think they were circling Michael B. Jordan at one point. I don't know if he's still attached, but yeah,
No.
yeah,
Right now, Michael B. Jordan's got his Rainbow Six movies, like, which is
yeah.
I'm interested to
From
see
the director of John Wick, so that's probably going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it's just like this slate, and then it's just like, but the thing is also with this slate too is that we've already seen some of these projects already.
Right.
Like we've already have.
Right.
Like
And I guess that's kind of like where my confusion comes from because it's like, okay, so he said he was going to reboot the whole thing from scratch. But then he's going out of his way to be like, okay, yes, certain of these castings and stuff happened before we were brought on and such. So they're like, okay, the plan was definitive. Like, okay, Cavill and Affleck, they're gone. But like, he's like, Godot, Momoa, Ezra Miller, Zachary Levi, all these guys that are already kind of in universe. And he's like, oh, they can come back whenever they want. And I'm like, okay, so are we rebooting from scratch? Like, or what's going on here? Like, that's constantly like my confusion here. It's like,
yeah.
so they're like, essentially to me, what this is, what the slate. We're gonna get into the slate in a little bit, but essentially what this slate to me is saying is, it's like he's essentially doing the same thing that he did with the Suicide Squad, which is keeping in certain characters and actors from the previous universe while essentially rebooting the entire thing from scratch. And it's confusing. Like I love the Suicide Squad. Like significantly, I already have been made it clear that is my favorite movie of 2021. But like save all the extra stuff for later. But like it's confusing for people to say the least, especially when like he kind of when there's no like real confirmation or continuity because it continues with more of the continuity problems that we talked about. Because at the very least, with a hard set reboot, yes, people don't like it. But once they get through that initial setback, it's like, okay, we know the old stuff is the old stuff. We're moving on to the new stuff,
Right.
But this trying to have it both ways and have it be like, oh, the old stuff, some of it is still there, but we're going to get rid of the bad stuff, but we're only going to keep some of the new stuff. But this is primarily new and this is reboot. It's like for the average consumer, they're like, what the hell? Just like who is who, what is going where. And yeah, so like the idea that Jason Momoa could potentially still be in this new universe, but playing Lobo, but now he might still be playing Aquaman. And this is the most baffling thing to me. The fact that they're still considering Ezra Miller to come back. And the fact that Gunn, this was the craziest statement I think that came out of today, is that Gunn was like, yeah, The Flash is one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. And I'm like, I'm still just like, I don't know. Yeah, take it from here. Cause
I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, despite if you remove all the like flack that like Ezra Miller is doing right now, projections is that really like that Flash movie really is gonna be good apparently. Like, which I'm not like because I already know the concept of that movie is gonna be Flashpoint.
Right. What else can they do with a solo Flash movie?
Because like it's sad to say, but like when you really think about it, a Flash's first movie, what would you really do outside of Flashpoint?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in this place, you have too many like continuities going on. You do Flashpoint, and then like I feel like what they should have did is that they should have kept everything, did Flashpoint or Crisis on Infinite Earths. and then got rid of everything all in one shot. You'd have killed off Momoa, you'd have killed off Gal Gadot, you'd have killed off Ezra Miller, you'd have killed off Cavill, you'd have killed off Affleck, you'd have killed off, and then you would have could have brought in Robert Pattinson's Batman, maybe a new Superman, Superwoman, or Supergirl, you know, and so on and so on. But it's like, okay, I really feel like you just need people to really understand, like, there are certain things in these comic books that reset timelines.
Right.
Like Flashpoint is one of them, which is like a main used one.
Right.
And then Crisis on Infinite Earths, or like even like the New 52 reboot, like, and all that stuff. So like there's things in here like they could have done. So I'm really lost and confused on where they're going with this.
Yeah.
Like, and and again, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna let James Gunn cook, because like it's not like he's a shitty guy. He's
Right.
he's making shitty content. Like, no, he's making good stuff out here. But it's like, again, like I to play the other side, I also know like he's in a tough position as well too, because you want to appease to these fans, because that DC's been hurting. Not even for the past 10 years, DC's been irrelevant since the Clooney Batman with the nipples out.
No, did them a little bit of a favor for a bit there, But the problem is that, again, for the longest time, it was just those Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah,
and that
just those for a while, and then it's like, all right, cool, like that was it. And then you got Superman Returns with Brendan Routh's Superman, which as I'm not a Superman fan, but it's like I've read like a lot of the Superman stuff. My man's is not lifting up a whole city full of kryptonite, bro. I'm sorry, that's not happening. I love Brandon Routh as an actor, bro, but that was out of pocket for me. Like, I walked out.
Yeah, I have a little bit of problems with Bryan Singer choosing to do that movie over X-Men 3, and also just certain things that happened in the movie, where it's like certain things you're like, yeah, this should work. Kevin Spacey is Lex Luthor, back in 2006 at least. This should be awesome. Why is it not? And then there's the whole shit with his son, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on.
Too much
here.
That he's really Superman's son, and it's that Jonathan Kent. All right, like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, so my final take on Gunn before we actually move into the slate itself is that Gunn, I think, has this bad habit of like trying to keep around things that he likes or things that he thinks work, while also trying to mix and mesh them with like his own new stuff and his own style. The Suicide Squad, I think, is the most apparent aspect of this, where he keeps around the elements from the first movie that he likes, that being, Margot Robbie, Viola Davis, Jai Courtney, Joel Kinnaman, and everything else is pretty much clean slate. Like, he's like the Idris Elba part was clearly supposed to be Will Smith, and then Will Smith just wasn't available at the time, so he got Idris Elba because he wanted to work with Idris Elba. He wanted to work with John Cena, and pretty much, like I said, he pretty much made that movie his own, while also inserting a few previous elements from from the David Ayer movie. So I'm assuming that with this whole new slate that he's announced, that this is going to be something similar. Like, I would not be super, like, I think it's very apparent why he did. I think the only reason why Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot was not announced was because, again, DC basically took one look at the script that she wrote for Wonder Woman 3 and were like, hard pass, because they're like, some shit that's worse than 84. Yeah, no, sorry, not having it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back Gal Gadot at a certain point, but they're probably just like either waiting for a better script, or they're just like waiting to like get a better director than Patty Jenkins, because quite frankly, she dropped the ball so hard with that last one. But so the slate of movies that was announced today. So we have Creature Commandos, which is and also the other thing too that was announced is that these will be half movies and half TV shows, and they will all be announced. So
just like Marvel's format, yeah.
Just like Marvel's format now, exactly. So we have Creature Commandos, which is an animated show that will see Rick Flag Sr. leading a Suicide Squad-esque team that is consisting of monsters.
Let me tell you about that.
I was about to say, let me read through the slate. That'll let you break down each and every one of these things. I'm really curious, because some of these things I'm like, I've never heard of any of these.
These are going to be very short explanations too, and everyone's going to know.
Yeah. That's what I figured. You have an Amanda Waller TV show starring Viola Davis, Superman Legacy, which is currently dated for July 11th, 2025, which Gunn himself is writing. There is no director or star that has been announced yet. Lanterns, an HBO Max TV show. This will not be the Greg Berlanti Green Lantern TV show that was announced. This will be a buddy cop-esque thing. I believe it will be primarily set on Earth, featuring Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. The Authority, no clue there. I did on what that team is or anything. I did a brief glimpse over on the Wikipedia page, but I'll let you fill me in on that one. Paradise Lost, which is set to be a Game of Thrones style prequel 2 Wonder Woman set on Themyscira. No idea how that's going to work. Batman, The Brave and the Bold, or sorry, just The Brave and the Bold, which will be a rebooted Batman that will focus on his relationship with Damian Wayne. Booster Gold, which will be a TV show that will be primarily a comedy. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing are the movies announced. Also announced in Elseworlds, The Batman Part 2, the sequel to Matt Reeves' Batman film that came out earlier this year, starring Robert Pattinson, which has also been slated for October of 2025. That will remain in Elseworlds and will not tie in with the main DC universe. So, Dondre, break some of these titles down for me, because like Creature Commandos, what's it called? Authority. Gunn is clearly using Waller as like an in-between between Peacemaker seasons 1 and 2, because that all ties together.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's what I was gonna say. So first things first, so like I don't remember anything about Creature Commandos or the Authority, but I definitely know the comparisons that they're coming from. So Creature Commandos, 100% Howling Commandos from a Marvel.
Right.
100%.
Right.
You know, Rick Flag Sr., okay, Nick Fury. Like kind of like that same, and people, and you guys would agree with me, like that is 100% Howling Commandos. 100%. So if you don't know what Howling Commandos are, definitely read that and then go read Creature Commandos, which I'm actually gonna go look up now and just kind of just see like what's going on with that. Lanterns. Lanterns is pretty much. I wish this was a movie.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say something. It's like, yo, like I wish this was a movie, but for some reason I feel like they really did not want to trust the fact they wanted to. This is gonna be like bad cop, good cop, good cop, bad cop kind of thing. I think it's Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I think Hal Jordan's gonna be like the good cop, and then Jon Stewart's gonna be the bad cop. And the reason why I think that is because I don't think they felt confident enough launching a Green Lantern project, but just Jon Stewart being the main focal point.
Right. Not to mention the fact that it's like, man, they're probably still like trying to avoid like another Ryan Reynolds-esque Green Lantern, even though that shit's been over 10 years. But they're like, nah, we can never have that again. We can never have that again.
But yeah, I agree. Waller is pretty much used as the fill-in for Peacemaker season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just for this slate. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, we've seen this already.
Yeah.
We've seen this thing already. But again, I can only imagine that's gonna tie into Superman Legacy.
Right.
Swamp Thing, we got a whole fucking 12 episode CW version of this.
Right.
Already.
That got canceled. And from what I heard, those 12 episodes were like, I don't know. I heard those 12 episodes were pretty good. So
they were not bad, bro. Like, they had Crystal Reed in there, which from Teen Wolf, which I just got finished watching.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, yeah, I'm sure you went nuts over the Teen Wolf movie.
So it's like I definitely would love to do a podcast on that, but there's not a lot of people that watch Teen Wolf anymore. So
yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, Swamp Thing, are you gonna try with a movie now? And you guys canceled. And Swamp Thing, the TV show, had like a huge budget.
Right.
Like
probably another reason why they canceled it. They're like, this is too
super
expensive.
heavy. So like, yeah, imagine that going. That should have just been a movie off rip. Booster Gold, I'm willing to give a chance, but I'd say this right now, the actor for Booster Gold has to be Nathan Fillion.
Oh, really?
Has to be.
Has to be Nathan Fillion. You won't accept that. I mean, Fillion has had a long-standing relationship with Gunn, so he's been in every one of his projects. So I wouldn't surprise me. Fillion.
The Game of Thrones-esque kind of Paradise Lost thing. I heard about this. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be like talking about like the Themyscirian War.
Okay.
That one on Themyscira and stuff like that. Maybe, and when they say like Game of Thrones as kind of thing, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like the Song of Fire and Ice kind of situation.
Right.
But yeah, the Authority, 100% Watchmen reboot.
Okay. That's what it felt like. But like when I was reading a little bit, I'm like, these seem also kind of a little bit like the Justice Lords. I'm like, is this going to be anything like that? Or
yeah, no, 100% going in the realm of Watchmen. 100%. And that's like just like my generalistic take of things. Like again, like there's some things. Oh, and then Batman: Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, him and Damian Wayne. So
him and Damian Wayne.
Oh, Ra's al Ghul's in it. Like we've seen all this because they already put that in the animated the animated.
Honestly,
stuff,
like from I've been going around and like reading stuff and like watching other people stuff like that. They were saying that like this is apparently supposed to be like projected as like not like it's supposed to be dark because it's Damian in there.
Right.
We're gonna get definitely a lot of Batman saying you ain't shit, and then Damian is just a murderous psychopath that's trying to get his father's like approval, the entire time. But it's like also kind of have that like if you go back to like Adam West's Batman and like Robin TV show, like so it's like I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah,
like at
I'll say that there is a reason why Clooney and Joel Schumacher's Batman was the last time we saw somebody with the mantle of Robin in live action. I'm not counting the Joseph Gordon-Levitt surprise clip at the end of Dark Knight Rises, which was just placed there to show that, like, okay, there will be a successor to Bruce Wayne, but not necessarily somebody, that will be running around in tights, named Robin.
The reason why we only got that was the last time we saw Robin was because the nipples on the suit, bro.
Exactly. Like, nah.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze nipples, George Clooney nipples.
Everybody had nipples, man. Everybody had nipples,
except Batgirl.
Only one. Poison Ivy had nipples, not Batgirl.
Yeah. Uma Thurman, hot woman, no nipples.
Yeah,
nipples on the suit for everyone else except for Batgirl.
Everybody gets nipples on this. Listen, we all know what Joel Schumacher was trying to do with that movie. We all know. We're not hiding under any pretenses here
at all.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like my thoughts on it are that, like, so real quick, the Creature Commandos thing. I'm like, okay, so I'll bet you $10 that Joel Kinnaman. That's how he keeps Joel Kinnaman around to voice, because it's animation. So he'll definitely like be voicing Rick Flag Sr. or anything. So the team that he is leading will consist of the Bride of Frankenstein, Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, G.I. Robot, Dr. Nina Mazursky, and Weasel, who was in the Suicide Squad. So like that already raises questions like, how old is this character supposed to be? Like, well, like there was already a bunch of confusion there. And then exact same thoughts as you. The Waller thing is going to be a holdover until Peacemaker season 2, which I'm like, cool. And all. The only confusing thing there is like, okay, with them bending over backwards in order to do the reshoots for in order to place Amanda Waller and Black Adam, how does that pan out? That like at some point they're going to have The Rock back as Black Adam? Like, how exactly is that going to work out?
Yeah, like how do you? I'm pretty sure like another Black Adam project will happen for sure, but it won't be The Rock.
No,
it won't be The Rock. We'll probably get, and for people who like did like Black Adam, it was something to turn your brain off, which is like my favorite thing to say. Like you turn your brain off, watch the movie. It is what it is. But let's be real, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did not care about Black Adam.
No,
he didn't care about it. He just wanted to make sure that he was glorified in the situation. But then he ended up severely ruining a character that could have came in and just kind of just really fucked a lot of shit up.
Right.
And he ended up fucking it up, but in a bad way. So let's hopefully they keep Shazam going long enough to where this does come up an encounter. And this could have been a whole bunch of other people that could have played Black Adam, but The Rock needed to be a part of it for some fucking reason.
Yeah, because The Rock was just intent of all the characters The Rock wanted to play. He's like, oh, I gotta play that guy. It's like a villain when you're so intent on being perceived as the good guy and everything. Okay, that makes sense.
He's just watching like The Rock just like go through like commitment issues the entire movie, and it was like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
But again, like it was something to just like turn my brain off and like rewatch. Right.
I still think the low key, the most unintentionally funny and therefore the most hilarious part about that movie was seeing The Rock's face CG'd onto whatever like skinny person they had when he was supposed to be like the regular person before he like got all OP'd with the wizard's power and everything. Also, the fact that the villain of that movie, literally, the irony being that the villain of that movie when he went Super Saiyan mode at the end looked like Jafar. And then but the best part is that he's played by the same guy who played Jafar in the live action Aladdin movie, which is hilarious. Wild. Hilarious to me.
Which is wild. They're trying to say something.
I don't know. I don't know if they are trying to say anything.
But yeah, so it's just like, again, like Waller, like, okay, we're using Viola Davis. Is she?
She's definitively the live action Amanda Waller, which is cool because she's good in the part, but like, we know that this is just a paycheck for her. She's busy like going around and trying to win Oscars for movies like Woman King and stuff like that. But
But, like, that's the thing, though. Is like, all right, so this whole continuity problem,
right?
It's like, does she fit in his universe? Is Amanda Waller going to be like hopping through different universes? How the fuck does she do that?
Right. And apparently also James Gunn's now wife too, who's in Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad and is now in this, is like her aide and stuff, And also the Justice Society is apparently still out there somewhere, or at least 3 of them are, which by the way, biggest joke of a superhero team ever, by the way. Can we just say that right now? Like,
Hawkman was like in Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
Dr. Fate, that was a Dr. Fate movie.
Yeah. Black Adam, the Dr. Fate movie is what that should have been.
Dr. Fate featuring Black Adam in small font.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bro, like it, like 100%. That was a Doctor Fate movie.
Yeah.
Doctor Fate was a better Doctor Strange than what we had.
Exactly. I was about to say, like, tell me how Doctor Fate, like 10 minutes of screen time in that movie was more compelling than Doctor Strange in 4 Marvel movies. Like, how was that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah, it's just wild. But like, yeah, no, like, and then like that, it kind of cuts back to this whole thing about like gods and monsters. Like, all right, where are your gods really? Like,
Right.
you know,
That's the thing I'm confused about. Is like they call this gods and monsters, and I'm like, I think the only gods per se are like the Themyscirians, and like, but the Themyscirians are like they're not God. They worship the Greek pantheon and all that, but they are not themselves
they're
immortal.
not
You know, they
gods. Like
grow old
outside
and
of
die.
them, and in Themyscira, they're not gods. But outside of Themyscira, like they're worshipped as like gods.
Sure, but like
But like,
because they live for extremely long amounts of time, but like they are still mortal. They do still die,
yeah,
to my
they still
knowledge.
very much die.
Right.
You know, but you know, it's like again, like Superman Legacy, like. I think I heard something like a so like something, but this all just kind of came, so I'm taking this with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty sure what this movie is gonna be is like it's gonna be a younger Clark Kent, not super young. Like we already see him in the suit,
Mm-hmm.
younger Clark Kent, and he's like discovering his like Kryptonian origins. Not like discovering, but like this is when like in a time period in the comics or any TV show, Clark goes out to find find the remnants of Krypton.
Okay.
And he finds the remnants of Krypton, or he ends up finding like new Krypton or whatever, stuff like that. And he kind of learns about his heritage about being a Kryptonian. And I believe down the line he's going to encounter Brainiac.
Okay.
I believe like Brainiac is going to be the first villain for this movie. And then I think what leads from Superman Legacy leads into the Supergirl movie, Woman of Tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. And then run through your thoughts as far as like what do you think that movie's going to be about, the Supergirl movie.
I have no idea because I kind of gave up on Supergirl. Like I never really got into Supergirl. But again, like I said, like this is going to be confusing because is this going to be the same Supergirl from the Flash movie?
Right. Because she is still confirmed to be in that movie as well.
100%.
Right.
You know, so it's like, is this going to be the same Supergirl from the Flash movie? So it's like seeing where she comes in. Maybe I can kind of get an idea, or maybe I'll just wait for information to come out on that one. But yeah,
I mean, if Gunn's statements about liking the Flash movie as much as he has are true, I mean, I could see a world in which he keeps her around, you know?
yeah. But like the biggest thing too is like the biggest thing about like Supergirl is that there's 2 of them. One Supergirl cut happens, and then another one comes,
Right.
and then
There's
one
Kara
is
Zor-El, and then there's the second one after her,
yeah,
right?
who becomes what's her name, Power Girl,
Oh, yeah.
white shirt, the white
Right.
span, like the
Yeah,
white
Power Girl.
unitard, and like huge
Power Girl.
fucking-
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like
Huge knockers, too.
yeah, and then that's obviously I'm pretty sure that's gonna bring. Oh, there we go. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see the first glimpse of Lobo in this Supergirl movie.
Okay, got it. And that's where Momoa as Lobo comes in.
Probably, yeah.
I am gonna laugh so hard if he ends up keeping Momoa as Aquaman and Momoa is playing Lobo and Aquaman, and then they end up running into that'll be too much for me. That'll be too much for that'll be like ultimate apex James Gunn trolling everybody phase right here. So I wanted to run through potentially like a couple fan castings here. So starting off with Superman Legacy, who could you see potentially playing the rebooted Superman since Cavill's officially confirmed to not be coming back?
Henry Cavill.
Imagine if he does actually come back and it's like all this rigmarole, all this nonsense, all this back and forth, just be like, "Yep, Henry Cavill, he's back again."
Like, so,
I don't know if Henry Cavill fans would be able to take it. They're like, "We're in an abusive relationship. He's here. He's back. He's gone.
Yeah,
He's
no.
back again." It's like, which is it? Stick
and
with
then,
something.
So all right, so I'm assuming this is supposed to be like because like they didn't drop dates. The only date they dropped so far.
The
was
only
just,
dates that have been released are for Superman Legacy and the Batman 2. Nothing else.
right. So I'm assuming they want like a 10-year, maybe 5-year for the first, I guess, chapter.
Yeah.
You cast young.
Yeah, which is smart.
You cast young. So
I remember, if I'm remembering, a couple rumors were saying that they were considering Jacob Elordi from Euphoria, the guy who plays Nate Jacobs on that show, which that's not a bad choice, honestly. I can see that.
Bad choice.
You know, kid's 25 years old, turning 26 this year. Could get it easily like a 10-year run out of him.
Yeah. You cast young. I'm saying 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, maybe get a 30-year-old in there, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to think who could possibly who's young and dumb.
Who's young and dumb? Not Timothy Chalamet because he's already Paul Atreides, but also just like Timothy Chalamet as Superman. Just like no.
Honestly, who?
Yeah, that's the other problem too. Is it's like because no person that's under the age of like 30 now is like a star. It's
Right.
really difficult to find out like who is like famous and what and such, you know? Like Michael B. Jordan's already like what, 35, 36, 37?
Yeah,
Like
he's
Michael B.
hitting it.
Jordan's almost 40, you know? Like that's getting up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have to get something completely like unknown.
Yeah. I would love to
Um,
see an unknown personally take over some of these
honestly,
parts.
how do you think about this? The what's the actor from Ready Player One?
Oh, Ty Sheridan?
Yeah,
That could work. He's bland and boring enough. He could pull it off.
yeah. That crazy cast. What if Tom Holland is Superman?
No shot. No fucking shot. He's already Spider-Man and he's already Nathan Drake. Like, no, do not give him another franchise. I'm sick of it.
Oh, okay.
Next thing you know,
how
they'll
about
cast Zendaya as Supergirl. Like, no.
stop,
No.
stop.
We got to stop speaking these into existence. These executives are going to hear us and they're going to do
How
it.
about Cameron? He plays what's it called? He was in Shameless, and then he's currently the face of Star Wars.
Oh my God, what's his name? Shit, Ian from Shameless. Cameron Monaghan. Yeah,
Yeah,
as Superman.
yeah.
Only thing that's distracting is that he's a very obvious ginger. You know, I don't know how people feel about gingers playing Superman, but
True. I mean,
it could be
fair.
it could work. It could be a thing.
Yeah, that's fair. But again, like, also, like, let's think about this. What the hell happened to Josh Hutcherson?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think he was in something recently. Well, you know what it is? The last time I saw him, he was in The Disaster Artist. Was the last time I saw him, and he kind of joined like the Point Grey group. I know he had that show Future Man on Hulu that was on while we were still in college, but I don't know what's happened to him since. I don't actually know if he's got a movie coming out anytime soon.
Honestly, why don't you pull one of the? I don't know if you ever watched this, but like again, like where they're gonna go with the Superman like TV show that's on like CW right now. The Superman.
That's true. The Superman and Lois, and I've heard that show is pretty good.
It's pretty good. Tyler Hoechlin
as
Superman is.
Yeah. Tyler Hoechlin is Superman from like the minute that he was first cast on Supergirl. I'm like, like that guy.
Maybe get one of his sons. One of the sons. Well, the son got recast. One of the sons got recasted.
Okay.
But yeah, one of the sons maybe. And, right now the storyline is that one of the sons is like Superboy in this situation right now. So
he's like the new Superboy and such. Yeah, man. Josh Hutcherson. I just looked it up. Josh Hutcherson is 30. Wow, that is like
he still looks young.
Still young, but like it's crazy to me like how old some of these guys are getting, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so a couple more castings potentially that I want to throw at you. So who do you think they're gonna cast as once again, the fact that the third Batman in less than 6 years? Something like
I have a casting for that, and I really need people to understand to really push this out. As people for Batman, people want a fucking fighter, bro. They want a fighter. 100% fan casting. Scott Adkins.
As bad. So you're still on the Scott Adkins train.
Scott Adkins, yeah.
Yeah. My problem with Adkins is like as great of a fighter as he is, I still have yet to see him, act
something
competently.
He's very low budget. He's very like
He's always in like low budget, like Hong Kong, like overseas action movies, which are good, but like they don't exactly show off his range as an actor, you know?
Yeah, because you don't really do much. You're just kicking motherfuckers in the face.
Exactly. And like, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that like that's exactly what happened in Matt Reeves' Batman 2, because like again, because he's so much of a detective in that movie, you don't really get to see him a whole lot as Bruce Wayne. And when you do see him as Bruce Wayne, it's all just a facade for him as Batman. But like you kind of need a little bit more from him in this one, especially if they're gonna go the Damian Wayne route, you know?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, if Damian Wayne's on the scene, that means that we've already had a Robin. Like
we've already had a couple Robins, if that's
now
the case.
He's Nightwing.
Yeah, so we could potentially get a whole Bat family in this movie then.
Yeah, possibly. So, this Batman's old.
Right.
Oldish. Like, he's getting there. So, I will say Batman's like 35, 40.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
So, again, like, casting someone who's still like...
Adam Driver, perhaps? If Marvel doesn't scoop him first, that is.
That's the thing too, because I'm hearing that Adam Driver is supposed to be slated to be playing Dr. Doom,
which would be heat. That would be heat. Come on, that would be.
Did you hear about like the so-called synopsis for what Fantastic Four is?
All I know is that it's going to be set in the 60s. Kang would be involved somehow, but he would not be the main villain. I don't remember them saying anywhere that Doctor Doom was gonna be in the movie, though. I thought that they said that Silver Surfer would be introduced in the movie.
No.
Okay.
So apparently, side topic here. So apparently, Silver Surfer was gonna be, but Silver Surfer is gonna be saved for something else. Also, person who's supposed to be slated to play Silver Surfer is Ryan Gosling.
Oh, that's who they're considering. That's who they were getting. I saw Gosling's name pop up, and I'm
Gosling.
like, Gosling
But
and
the
Silver
first
Surfer
villain
would
is
kill it.
supposed to be Galactus.
Oh, come on. They're already pulling out Galactus in the first movie?
Yeah, but the person who they said, I can only remember one of the names, but the person who they said they were thinking about getting to play Galactus, which is it's a huge please people take this with a grain of salt. Keanu Reeves. I don't know how I feel about that.
I see a universe, pun intended, where that works, but
Yeah.
I don't know still how I feel about it, because that's more with, I love Keanu Reeves, but I have a bad feeling that Keanu Reeves is starting to become just a little bit too overexposed, if that makes any sense, you know?
I would say Keanu Reeves, if you do, because I know Ryan Gosling was also interested in playing Ghost Rider.
Mm-hmm.
I would say keep him as Silver Surfer and then push Keanu Reeves as Ghost Rider. The man already rides. He does his stunts with the motorcycle. He knows how to ride a motorcycle. It's totally fine. You get an older Johnny Blaze, and then maybe you can get him passing the torch after 1 or 2 movies to a newer Ghost Rider, which is Robbie Reyes.
Right, bring it back to Gabriel Luna from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Robbie Reyes.
Exactly. You know, so it's like, because I think he didn't get a fair shot.
Yeah. Although you still can't necessarily, because correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a scene in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where like Robbie Reyes is having a flashback to being helped by another Ghost Rider, and then the rumor is that, oh, that's the Nick Cage, Johnny Blaze, which I don't care what anybody says. Those movies are fantastic. They're awful, but they're hilarious to watch. So
Spirit of Vengeance.
Listen, I have never seen a movie that is so stupid and yet so entertaining. Like, the editing of that movie gives me a headache.
He possessed the excavator, bro. Like, I don't.
Like, listen, we saw him literally pissing fire. Like, he literally pissed fire at the end. Like, I was
excavator.
I'm still going with the pissing fire thing, but like, look, we all know the ridiculous shit that they pull off whenever Nicolas Cage is playing Ghost Rider. Like, in a strange way, that we got exactly what we would have expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I guess my final. Well, one other thing that I wanted to say is who might potentially be playing John and Hal. And just because, again, this would be like the first Green Lantern anything that we've gotten since the Reynolds movie. Although I will say the Green Lantern animated show that we got on Cartoon Network was also fantastic, and I wish they would bring that back. And they sort of kind of brought that back and connected that in to canon with the most recent season of Young Justice.
I don't know if you saw, but they just did an animated like solo John, like, you know, Green Lantern movie where John Stewart becomes Green Lantern.
Oh, I did not see that. Was this you wanted like their new continuity of movies post Apocalypse War?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that yet.
You know, was it Hal Jordan? Yeah, Hal Jordan dies, I believe. Hal Jordan died, and it's like Sinestro's in his movie. So like the first villain is Sinestro, which that's also things like we didn't talk about. Like, I'm pretty sure their first villain is going to be Sinestro, which kind of always like it has this offset because that's how you bring in the Yellow Corps.
Right.
That's how you bring in the Yellow Ring Corps. But like castings for that, I don't know who they would cast for Hal, but I think I have a few. And honestly, before he became Kang, I was really thinking Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors would have been John, but now that he's not, I'm not gonna lie, I can see a universe where Tahib Jimo, the dude who plays Sam, the African player from Ted Lasso, I could see a universe where he becomes it because he's kind of a young up-and-coming star. It's on the rise. Another guy that I could potentially see is Algie Smith, who's another Euphoria star. He plays McKay on Euphoria. He also has been in a couple movies, up and coming. I could see him too. John Boyega also, I know, is looking probably looking for a cleanse after Star Wars screwed him over. And he's like, oh man, what a better way to stick up a giant middle finger to Disney than by going over to DC, going over to the opposing team.
But it also depends to what age range they want John Stewart.
Right.
If you go old, I mean,
that's different age ranges too, because like I said, because John Boyega is only 32, so that's still pretty relatively young. So if they want to go older for that.
Crazy part too, you know who I would low key want to see an audition tape for?
Who?
Crazy take. Tyrese Gibson.
I mean, wasn't there a point where he was trying to campaign for it? I mean, there's been that one guy that's like been on Instagram and stuff that's been like campaigning to play Jon Stewart for years and such. But
We also got
I can
Daniel
see
Ezra.
Who?
Daniel Ezra.
Who's that?
So right now he's I believe he's playing on the All American TV show.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I have not watched that show, but yeah, I'd be interested in the universe where Tyrese Gibson plays, especially since supposedly these next 2 Fast and Furious movies are going to be the last one, supposedly. Which, by the way, February 10th, people, mark your calendars for that Fast X trailer. Or we better get cars racing. I'm gonna be pissed if we don't get cars racing on the moon in that. I'm gonna be really pissed. Wow. Jason Momoa is Cypher's latest ally in that movie, and he's going to be driving with Brie Larson, and Rita Moreno is now Dom's grandmother or something like that.
Wait, Brie Larson's in this movie?
Oh, you didn't know this? This was announced like last year. Brie Larson's in this movie. It never stops. The insanity never stops. Just to give people a little bit of a timeline. F9, the Fast Saga, these titles, they never stop getting stupider, came out right around the time when Dondre and I moved into our house together. And Dondre saw it like, what was it? You saw like the week that I moved up there online. You were like, bro, this shit has to be seen to people. And Dondre was telling me everything that happened. And I'm like, there's no way that any of this shit happens. And it actually happened. I'm like, wow, we actually got Tyrese and Ludacris going into space. That actually happened. We actually
2 black guys into space.
Still not as realistic to me. Still not as unrealistic to me though, as the fact that the Tokyo Drift guys are the ones that are working on rocket cars.
The one that sent them into space, like, it's just, and like it's very hard to go back to watch Tokyo Drift now because it's like, this is where you end up.
This is where you end up.
Like,
I got one better. I remember there's a point where when Tyrese and Ludacris walk on the screen, and Ludacris is looking like Lil Bow, who's not so little anymore, and they both have this look at the like, where first he's like Twinkie, he's like, yeah, I don't really go by that anymore, and I'm like, so what do you go by then? And because I'm pretty sure nobody knows your real name. And there's another point where he's like, there's almost like this silent look that's exchanged between the two of them, and they're like, wow, we used to be rappers. What happened, man?
Yeah, it's like, yo, we used to be like rappers, bro. Like, you had to have like that. I would love to see like the outtake of that and just be like, yo, like we used to be like rappers like early 2000s, bro. Like
what happened?
Yeah, like, you know.
Oh man. But yeah, so my final take on this before we get out of here, this was going to be a shorter stream anyways, but my final take on this is that, like, I feel like it is some sense, and James Gunn has never been this guy. Like, James Gunn is not like a Ryan Johnson or a Taika Waititi or any one of those guys, but like, a part of me kind of feels that James Gunn is trolling people just a little bit. Like, just a little bit. Like,
when I saw this
Creature Commandos, like that, like Paradise Lost, I'm like, he's not taking this as seriously as people want him to be. And like, I personally love that, but like,
as fans who have been acting just for like something,
right?
You know, because like, what's your end game here? You know, don't say fucking Darkseid, bro, because it's like,
and we already got that.
It's
been done twice. We saw Thanos, who was essentially, you know, Marvel's version of Darkseid, and then we saw Darkseid in the Snyder Cut, which like DC already dumped and like wanted nothing to do with. So it's like, okay, you know, that's already dead and gone.
I need to have a conversation with Peter Safran and James Gunn, because I remember sitting on my couch, coming up with a better slate.
I remember us driving in the car back from Syracuse when we went there at some point, and you're pitching me better ideas than some of the shit that they could
better, like better slate. And mind you, like, I'm a film student, graduate now, so it's like, I know it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Even if you're not a film student, I feel like just having some basic understanding of story. Like, there's always been like the longest mindset that you don't need to go to film school in order to understand how this stuff works. But the biggest thing for me is it's like just these like, this is a first, like, sure, it's something to get excited about, but like, what the hell are these titles like?
And low-key, what I feel, because when I first saw this, when you texted me about it and I saw the slate after, I was like, I see what he's doing. James Gunn is the leading person for bringing a not so known team to big screen,
right?
Because before Guardians of the Galaxy, you didn't know who the fuck they were.
No.
I see that he's trying to do that here, bro, but it's like, you need to drop your Justice League's members.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, we need them now. We can't, like, in fairness, like I said, we've got a Wonder Woman prequel, so if he wants to leave room to bring back Gal Gadot, he can bring back Gal Gadot. We've got Gal Gadot, we've got Batman, we've got Superman. If he chooses to keep around Miller and Momoa, he's got them. We've got our Green Lanterns and such. So like, I'm not going to say that his head is in the completely wrong space because he's still got a majority of like the primary initial Justice Leaguers. It's just a matter of like seeing how everybody's movie that is having a movie come out in 2023, seeing how that turns out. The other thing also too is that we still don't know anything about this Blue Beetle movie that's coming out in August.
Yeah,
It's getting
like,
a theatrical release.
stay?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. I kind of want to see it because like the suit looks pretty.
The suit looks badass. And like, I love that Zolo from Cobra Kai is getting a movie. He more than deserves it. But
yeah. So it's just like, again, like I see what he's doing, but it's like this was kind of weak. This was weak. If I had to rate this was weak.
Yeah.
Because it's like, where are you going with this? Like, and again, like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna sit back and let him cook, bro. Because like, again, like back when Marvel first dropped, like when they kept Magic Kevin Feige hopping out and saying, "Oh yeah, we're doing Captain America, Thor," which I still think are the two worst movies. A couple of the worst movies. Sorry, because I got a couple more.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, there's been a couple recently that I think are way worse than those two, but
those movies are definitely terrible. They're up there.
No, they're not. No, they're not. But look, we already have our thoughts on it. Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest thing is that like DC kind of knows that they can't make a big show announcement. Right. Like they can't do this at like a Comic-Con
especially
or anything like that, especially not with all the reboots and all their baggage and all the history that comes with it. They can't do that anymore. Those days are behind them. They're like, we're going to leave that to the Marvel stuff. And, you know, we're just going to do our thing. They made this nice. They made this quiet. They made this low key. They kind of, especially they made this clear. They're like, okay, we want to do this for the fans. We want to get back in the fans' good graces. And my only thought process is only time will tell. You know, the fact that Gunn is going to trust the individual creators to do their stuff. I like that. I'm a big fan of that. I'm interested to see what creators he brings on to do these, whether they're going to be veterans or whether they're going to be more nuanced, whether they're going to be like people who have like not really worked in live action before, but understand these characters well enough that he trusts them. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to come of this, you know?
My only thing though is like with James Gunn and Peter is like right now, I'm not gonna lie, Marvel is fucking up right now.
So badly. Like so badly. Like that She-Hulk shit. What was that?
That shit was funny. I don't know what you're talking about.
Funny in a bad way, sure. But like after a certain point, I wanted to drive nails in my eyes. I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
It's like Marvel, like this is a chance for DC to like come out and just be like, hey, yo, we got some heat coming out, you know? So it's like, but Booster, I feel like they've been trying to get this Booster Gold project.
Yeah, that project's been talked about for a while.
I would say like 5 years now. Like, they've been trying to talk about a Booster Gold. Last time we saw a Booster Gold, if you've never seen this show, Smallville.
Yeah, I was about to say live action. I've seen Booster Gold a ton of times in animation format, but Smallville was the last time I remember seeing him in
like a live action Booster Gold.
Yeah,
Smallville. Yeah. Oh man, just thinking about like the Flash back then, and I can't look at this actor because now he was Hawk in Titans.
Oh, Alan Ritchson. Yeah,
but yeah, I can't look past him as Thad Castle from Blue Mountain State.
I thought he was Green Arrow in that show though.
No, he was Aquaman.
He was Aquaman. Okay. Yeah. And now he's Hawk, or was Hawk on Titans. Yeah. But apparently also, and Gunn came out and said this as well, that the decision to end Titans and Doom Patrol, well, that was an AT&T like DC Discovery decision that was way above his head. I never bothered
watching Doom Patrol.
I've heard Doom Patrol is good. Everybody that I know that's watched Doom Patrol said that it's good.
Yeah, no, I just watched the Titans. The Titans was good. I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, then again, the season's not over yet. But like again, like I know like they were slated to have a Kid Flash show up. And I believe he was casted.
Okay.
So Kid Flash was supposed to show up.
Because Jinx, I know, is in the new season as well.
Yeah, Jinx is it's pretty cool. Interesting what they're doing with her, but it's pretty interesting so far. Right now, it's like it's on this like mid-season hiatus thing, which I didn't know they were doing.
Yeah. At some point, I will go back and watch it because, like, my whole thing is, like, again, my version of the Titans, nothing will ever top that original Teen Titans show and that first season of Young Justice, which are both just fantastic. You know, Young Justice kind of dipped it as it kept going on, but that first season was magical, and Teen Titans is just like
that's something interesting to see if they would do that live action. Teen Titans.
Yeah, but I am interested to watch the Titan show, but I'll wait until it's done now at this point, just because the storylines they've done, they do seem relatively interesting. I was always confused by like the tone and style choices that they went with it. I'm like, are they trying to do this like a CW show with the tongue in cheekness, or are they trying to do like a little bit more mature? That was the thing that always kind of confused me with that show. But all I know is that only time will tell as far as this new DC slate. But that is our reaction to it overall. Dondre, thank you for coming on. I cannot wait to have you back on, man. No 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Season 4. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know if I'm watching season 4.
Really? Really? So you're already done with it.
I don't like the way it's going
Okay.
because, like, have you watched it, correct?
No, I
Or
have not. Not a single episode. Not yet. I'm gonna start sometime soon, but
so it's like when you see the pacing of the show, and after season 3, I'm not gonna lie, season 3 could have ended right there.
really.
Yeah.
Now, is this new season gonna be its last, or no? It's getting another one.
I'm pretty sure. Well, it's split into 2.
Right,
So
because
part
Netflix is
1
doing that thing because they got to split all their seasons into two
yeah,
parts
part
now.
1 is in 2 weeks, and then I believe
Part 2 is in March. I know that.
yeah. So it's like, but my thing is like, all right, he left. So like pretty much the whole thing is that now what he used to do to girls, it's happening to him now.
Right.
And I'm just like, but the way how season 3 ended, you could have just left it at that.
Right. Like season 3 ended on like a pretty hard definitive note where it's like the
Or
story's
just like
over.
the beginning, just like the
Yeah.
overall, like how season 2 ended going into 3.
Right.
Bro, like there's a whole child.
Do you get the sense that they're gonna turn that you is gonna become the next Dexter in terms of like a show that had a pretty solid ending jumping off point that they just kept going and stretched out for way too long?
No, I think they stretched it way too far.
Okay, they've already done it.
I think they've already done it. Yeah.
Okay,
I think they've already gotten to a point. And again, like, how are you going to regrasp the fans with this new season? Again, people are going to watch it because it's like, oh, it's a new season. But I think because it's the way how they're looking at it now, it's like a Netflix toxic version of Knives Out, which I heard the Glass Onion thing was terrible.
I like Glass Onion. I was a
Yeah.
big fan of it. Dustin, the Duster Mason, my co-host on my top 10 movies podcast that we did this week, put it in his top 10. I was a big fan of it. I enjoyed it a lot more than the first one, but I also know that there were a lot of people who were not as big a fan of it. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
So like I feel like that's what it becomes. Like, it's just become like a version of Knives Out where it's like
Yeah.
they're playing a game of who. Like,
I mean, I could see a version just based off everything that he's done in his past from what you told me about the show, where it's like, okay, now that's starting to come back to bite him when he finally like found this piece. Like, I could see a version of that, especially if this is the last season of the show, which I don't know if this is confirmed as the last season yet.
What season 3 is like, like because like the first 3 seasons is like him doing the first 2 seasons is like him doing the same shit after. The first season is him doing what he did, and then the second season is like, all right, you know what? Like I gotta leave now. I'm in Los Angeles. I gotta do this now. Ends up doing the same shit, and then his repercussions of season 2 is now in 3 because now he's met a chick that's crazier just like him.
Right.
And then going into season 4, it's like season 3 could have just ended that right then and there, bro. Like, because it was like, you know what, I'm done. And then you move to London, bro, and it's like your sins of your past are tracing you, and it's like maybe they're doing it in a cool way, maybe, but like I'm probably gonna end up watching it, but it's like,
yeah,
if I'm disappointed, I'm gonna be disappointed.
All I know is that Penn Badgley from what's the character's name on you? Joe something.
Well, first season was Joe Goldberg.
Yeah.
Second season was Will Biddleheim.
Will Biddleheim. I'm gonna go with Joe Goldberg just as definitive name. So from Joe Goldberg to Reed Richards potentially. That would be a crazy transition right there.
Something about Fantastic Four. I'm almost 80% sure they're going diverse on that.
Okay, I could see that. I could see a version of that. Absolutely.
We might get. I don't know if Johnny's gonna be like a person of color, but I guarantee Reed Richards is probably going to be a person.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. They're like, yeah, smartest man on earth. Yeah, they definitely. We all know they've got an agenda there. I mean, they said it. They said it in the leaked call that got leaked a couple months ago. Like they very very much have an agenda. So and they're not at all being subtle about it. So
yeah,
that's it. That's a reaction to the DC slate. Dontre, thanks for coming on. It was a blast.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me
back on. Of course. Where can the good people follow you on the interwebs? You're like, I gotta think about that.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at tarantino.fm. I don't have a page for my podcast. My podcast is a different form of content.
What's on Spotify?
Yeah, it's on Spotify. But yeah, you can follow Chaos Delivered on Spotify, which is my podcast. We pretty much talk about everything from Dunkin' Donuts to a zombie apocalypse.
Covering a wide range of topics.
Stay tuned if you want to interested. Super Bowl podcast coming soon. Definitely gonna be slandering a lot of people. Feelings will be hurt for sure.
Yes. Just go after some Eagles fans for me. That's all I need. Just go after some Eagles fans.
They're frauds. They're frauds.
Good. Good.
Oh, yeah.
All
They're
right.
frauds.
Awesome. That's the type of slander that we love to hear here. Of course, I am Dom the Movie Nerd. Follow me at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms. The official Talking TV podcast across all platforms. This episode may or may not be available on Spotify tomorrow. I am not sure yet. I have not decided yet. But as always, people, for myself and Dontre, 12 seasons in a short film, and watch more fucking movies. We'll see you guys later.